Today, let us continue on the 30 pieces of advices from Longchenpa. And after this, we'll request that we do the Mepham Rinpoche's aspiration prayer of Zopa Chimbo. So, two things. Okay. First advice. Advice of the great lamas are very, very important, because these advices are not just simple conceptions, ordinary, but came from their wisdom. So, first step is, of course, read the advices and think about the advices. Check how one have been following or is following the advices of the masters. This is the way to check one's status, so to speak. Advices are very, very important. And now particularly Longchenpa's advices. Here I want to share with you. One reason is also that I want to encourage you to read Longchenpa's text. Because I know you love reading, most of you do. And one issue that I have is that some of us, we end up reading Dharma teachings that are presented not necessarily from our great masters, but rather observers' kind of point of view. In some cases, definitely helps these kind of explanation to understand more advanced texts. But again, there are benefits. But here I'm encouraging you to read the text which came from the great masters, authentic Buddha Dharma teachings, the books which contains authentic teachings. I recommend you, encourage you to read. And for me, Longchenpa's teachings are most important, very, very important. So I recommend and encourage you to read. So that's why one reason that I'm sharing this 30 advices to you like that. Here, these 30 advices to whom Longchenpa has written is not only for the beginners. Yes, for beginners, just like us, as well as for advanced practitioners, to make sure they are always on track. So even you may find some of these advices not that relevant at this point in time, but will be relevant later on. So this Longchenpa's advice encompass many subject, whole range of different advices that covers pretty much from the beginner practitioners to the advanced practitioners. So wonderful advices. Now, most of the time, the way Longchenpa has written this advice is he first gives the advice not to do things, and then a little bit of a reason why you don't do this. And then his advice, what to do. So in a way, you can say do's and don'ts with some reasons. So that's how most of these advices are laid out like that. Okay. We are on advice number 8. Okay. Even though caretakers, attendants, people in charge, and cooks constitute the lifeblood of a monastery, entering dualistic perception is the cause for strife. To give up such chores is my heart advice. Those who take care of monastery and cook and all these things, basically daily things, too much emphasis on these things will, the negative aspect will be entertaining the dualistic perception and is the cause for strife. That's advice for temple caretakers. For us, daily chores. As long as we live, right? We do need something in the morning when you wake up, do this. After that, do that. Cleaning, arrange breakfast 3 times a day. Imagine, watch a series of shows, and somehow, anyway, kind of, unless one limit ourselves and pay attention, otherwise, just what needs to be done in a day. Sometimes we might find the day we don't really do particular work, but somehow there are things to do. Somehow there are. Fixing 3 meals a day is already quite a lot of work. And of course, these are needed. But at the same time, unless one pay attention, and we have to do this, we have to do that, we have to do that, and there isn't a time actually will be left to do Dhamma practice. Some time ago, one of my friend, he's actually rather, wealthy. He has a big yard, house. And I asked him, how's your practice? He said, well, this big yard, I have to take care of this flower, that flower, and do things, fix around the house. It takes all my time. I simply don't have time to practice. Well, this may happen. So, doing these and that things, simply entertaining dualistic perceptions. So all these in the monastery doing all these activities, if one don't do Dharma, only in the activities, this will not be recommendable. So one should do moderate. There's no such thing as completely giving up. Of course, as long as one live, you have to do the chores, daily chores, but at the same time, somehow find a way to do it. Otherwise, the needs to be done is always will be there, and that will not end. Number 9, to carry whatever we think necessary to the cave. Now, Longchen here, those who even go to a cave, reduce your belongings there, taking it to the cave. If you want to take this, you may need that, or maybe I need that, or how about that, or how about this? Maybe at some point I need. So if one do that, again, there's no end. So if one keep on doing that, taking it to the even to the cave, let alone to the other things, keep on doing, keep on collecting those, all hastily gathered together leads to suffering and dispute. All the belongings you have, all these and that things, sometimes we may lose. So basically, Onchen giving advice to those who goes to cave, but again, it is advice for us. To be frugal is my heart advice, right? Frugal, remain basically the basic needs. Otherwise, there's no ending. So Buddha said, remember, to be content is the ultimate wealth. As long as one do not have this contentment, even if one own the whole world, but it's still in our heart can remain poor. So to be frugal. In the past, in Tibet, see lots of yogis who went to, practice in caves. They usually have those bags, mark on the bags, they go and beg food. When they get this much in their bag full, then that's enough. Now, time to go. So that Longchenpa's advices that to these people. And of course, for all of us, to be content, live a frugal life. Number 10, pointing out faults to a short-tempered retinue in this degenerate time, even wish to benefit, give rise to negative state of mind. We make that mistakes. We think we're doing a good favor from our good heart, but of course we have to make sure that how our suggestions going to land in others. Very, very important. Sometimes people do say things rather harshly. It's not come from their anger or hatred, but somehow from good heart, but it still give rise to negative state of mind here. So, Longchenpa says, speak peacefully is my heart advice. Number 11, giving advice with a wish to benefit and without self-interest, or lovingly pointing out someone's hidden fault. We might be honest, but still it creates heartache. So, pointing out others' fault, again, same thing. Might be from our good heart, be honest, still they do not end up good. So, what to do? Speak pleasantly is my heart advice. So in life, Buddha, of course, said right speech, right? Emphasize on right speech. Why? Because who know what actually we have in mind? What other people judge is to what we say. So therefore, Longchenpa says, speak pleasantly. Tibetan, we have a saying, Tila nongar mechang mining tumbrutup, which means simple words do not have sharpness, but can cut humans' hearts into pieces. Yes, it matters what we say. So, even though come from good heart, even though come from being honest, doesn't matter if it causes something negative in others or hurt others' feeling, that is negative. How we, when we say negative karma or good karma, how we define that. Something that which brings benefit to others are good karmas. Something that which brings harm. Harm doesn't mean physical harm, right? Mental harm is even worse, in some cases, worse harms. So, practitioners, yes, wonderful to be honest, but still speak pleasantly, peacefully. Okay. Number 12. When we support our own side and refute others, we might think it is a way to propagate the teaching during debates, but instead it will give rise to a negative state of mind. So here, in the discipline of Buddhist philosophy studies, what we do is that it goes to very intellectual, actually. There are Buddha's teaching, there are, teaching of the Panditas. These are, we study, all schools study these. And then like one teaching on Nagarjuna's teachings. There was teachings, Asanga's teaching. These teachings are, explained, made commentary by Tibetan scholars. That of course include Longchenpa himself and Mepang Rinpoche, Rongsom, and all great scholars in Nyingma. And then also in different schools, in Sacha school, Gelug school, so something like that. So when we study somehow, in some cases, to one point, if different scholars explain it differently, so which one do you want to follow? If you follow that scholar's standpoint, then you have to kind of support that and refute others where we're explaining. Refuting, establishing one's viewpoint with support of that particular text, and then the answers to those who refute one's stand. So all these things, disciplines in Buddhist philosophical studies, it goes quite deep, actually. So these things, Longchenpa here is saying, ultimately, these are not necessary, maybe for the temporary, but still this will give rise to a negative state of mind. So there's a, scholastic study. That time, maybe, you engage in the philosophical speculations, but and then to be simple, to go to practice. When you are ready to go to mountain, then you don't think about those too much, how to refute others' viewpoints and establish your own, and establish after establishing your own viewpoint, presenting out that if somebody refuted your stand, how to answer. So all these things not necessary at all. So debating, having conference, all these things, ultimately speaking, not necessary. Stop talking. Hard advice. Number 13. Through being partial toward our lamas, lineage, practice, we believe we are upholding them. But negative side is, but to praise our own side, whilst disparaging others, is a source of attachment and aversion. To give all these up is my hard advice. Well, here we are talking about, generally speaking, I am a Buddhist, so others are not good. Religion, such things is not at all recommended. That is bad thing. Attachment to one's own side, aversion to others, that is beginning not right. When it comes to the then particular lineage and practice, again goes the same thing. Mine is better, there is not good. This is just ordinary phenomena. Ordinary phenomena. So what to do? Here, according to the advice, respect to the all, as we talked about yesterday, the practice of rejoice. Here we rejoice all the great deeds of the past masters, past beings, all the great deeds of the present beings. Whoever are there, benefiting beings are great beings. So mine is better, yours is not. All these things very ordinary. If oneself wish to be a practitioner, that is not the path. Number 14. So I just want to say that in the past time, see, non-sectarian movement, this happens in Tibet. So respecting all the different sects, all these things. Anyway, number 14. After differentiating and examining the teachings we studied, we find faults in the teachings of others, might believe this to be wisdom, but this we accrue negative deeds. So sometimes, particularly if one knows lots of things, teachings, and then that one problem is that we might want to find some kind of faults, some kind of objections in others' teachings, examining what others' teachings say, and then one finds some kind of objection. And these are in fact to the real practice. For your scholastic training, of course, something, in a monastic order, for monks studying Buddhist philosophy, we do this, but that is not good. These accrue negative deeds. So, to train in pure view is my heart advice. In pure view. Now, when it comes to Vajrayana practice, especially, talk about different levels of practice, right? Vajrayana practice, pure perception or pure view, to begin with, pure view is the most important. Without pure view, then if one keep on kind of thinking that, unfortunately, like some people, this for some people, he's not good, she's not good, that's not good, other one's not good, finding kind of all these faults. So some people by nature have this, good thinking. So pure view here, basically, whatever, the great beings who are benefiting others, wonderful, wonderful. Ultimately speaking, options is in our soul that whether or not we think about the good aspect that there is, or the dark side that there is. If one engage or continue on in that other side of even oneself or one's close ones, then it's our choice. So here, Pongchenpa is saying, give a pure view is my heart advice. So that, generally speaking, those people who thinks that this is great, that is great, are much happier than those who thinks that is bad, here is bad. And in most cases, I actually saw these kind of people who explain, like, if you say, well, this person is not that good because he did that, he said that, or these people, again, these negative people might have some interpretation of that the person's good deeds and good speech. Very dangerous thing, right? Okay, number 15. Speaking about blind emptiness, disregarding cause and effect. Yeah. Thinking that non-action is the ultimate, we give out two kinds of accumulations, leading to the deterioration of our practice. Practice unifying. Both is my heart advice. That happens. Very dangerous part. When we hear about emptiness, everything is emptiness. And then, well, everything is emptiness, so why bother? We do things. Is there life after this? Low karma are there? Aren't they all emptiness? Early morning to wake up and do these water offerings, do prostration, are they necessary? So that kind of, wrong goes to the, wrong people's mind, understanding of emptiness. So therefore, we say that teaching on emptiness for the beginners, Dzogpa Chenpo teachings for the beginners, it's rather danger. Danger. Why danger? It's not because of the teaching itself has anything to do, but because the vessel to whom you share the teaching, the person is not ready. So here, Pongchenpa is saying that we have to unify this accumulation of merit, respecting to the law of cause and effect, and understanding of emptiness. Of course, there are cause and effects. Law of karma is there because of emptiness. Everything happens. I be able to talk here, you be able to listen. Everything is because of emptiness. It independently arising. Nothing whatsoever is existent out there solidly. Everything is interdependently arising. Because of nothingness, emptiness, so there is everything, function everything. Like that. Number 16. We let the innermost, okay, this has to do with more of a Vajrayana practitioners. So those advanced practices dealing with settled bodies, particularly within settled body practice, upper exercise and lower exercise, this lower exercise, and those rather kind of danger unless you are, advanced in those first steps of the settled body practice. So therefore, practice path of liberations. In the Vajrayana, we talk about path of liberation, path of method. Path of method is dealing with the settled body. They take in different levels. So path of liberation is not dealing with the settled body, but simply like, visualizations and abiding in the view, like Dzogchen practice, all are part of liberations. So better to take that path. Number 17, bestow empowerment upon improper people and distribute secret substances. Don't do those things, If you do that, it's the basis for slander and deterioration of samaya. So start in proper ways is my heart advice. Likewise, in the name of the Vajrayana tantric practice, to be naked and so on in the middle of ordinary people, don't do those things. What will happen? The negative side is only beings to lose faith will happen. So to act with mindfulness is my hard advice. To act with mindfulness, yeah. Ultimately speaking, what Dhamma practice is about is to act mindfully, right? Even though you are new to Buddha Dhamma practice, you are smart. You know what are do's and don'ts. And practice those. Practice those with a practice of mindfulness, keeping mindfulness at all times. And then when one is ready to do something that is not according to Dharma, do some negative things, immediately remind oneself And then to be mindful at all time. Practice of mindfulness, most important one. Actually, that's it. Practice is the Dhamma practice is practice of mindfulness. If there's a mindfulness is always present, then everything's good. People lose mindfulness, forget. And particularly when somebody shakes comfort zones. See, mindfulness. Aspiring to be someone superior where we reside, even if we act purely and are learned, is the cause to fall from higher point to the lower. To be neither too tight nor too loose is my heart advice. So basically, Ongjempa is saying, to be moderate, be who you are. Sometimes people act like almost somebody, which will not. So this will have later on, falling. Number 20. In the village, monasteries, and caves, and such places where we might stay, let us not look for close friendship, but with whomever we become acquainted, be neither too intimate nor too hostile. To remain self-reliant is my heart advice. Too close. Usually, we end up arguing, not really for the outside people, of course, the one who we know very close. And then happens that closeness, something happens. If that not happen, then some kind of attachments generate. So not too close, keeping some level of moderate distance, so that he or she will not check your comfort zones. So basically, the whole point is, to have not to have the circumstances that which provokes our inner negativity. Inner negativity come out, we say, object must be there, subject here, that one is not free from all these latent, ready to pop up these emotions, and the conditions sets in, this fire will ignite. So what to do? The object that which ignites the fire, too close, we can bring that. So basically using our own common sense. So neither too intimate nor too hostile. Remain like that. 21. In order to receive provision from a faithful, we might pay respect in a hypocritical way to attract attention, but that will only fetter us. Act regarding everything as equal is my heart advice. So unfortunately, sometimes we're doing favor for others and not doing to others the same way. Or, more of a hypocritical, two-headed. So those things are not good, right? Ultimately, to be a good human being, of course, to be honest are important, and particularly in Dharma practice, and that, of course, that honesty is most important. number 22. There are many texts. Okay. Now, by saying, study what you need to study. But if you keep on studying, the needs to be studied will never end. One of his instruction, he reads, Shijanamki Zakaranda Lagwipinela Setame, which means the things to be studied are like the stars in the sky. The needs to be studied will never end. Yeah, we need to study all these things. But again, if you keep on doing that, if you keep on studying, what will happen is that too many things ruins one's meditation. One will not have time. So somehow, that again, too much studies reduce that. And to the point, one practice. Yeah. So some goes very intellectual and keep on studying. That is also not good. Whatever we study, we put into reflections. Here, some of you are maybe new. So here, how we say, Buddhist discipline is study, reflection, and meditations. That's how things goes. Study is study. First things study that needs to be practiced. What are the most important? And after a study, we put into reflections. Like, for instance, study of impermanence. Now put into reflection. Now sit down and think about what is impermanent, transient, measurable phenomena. In the text says this is most important ones. Why is so? Reflections. Studying about emptiness. Sit down, reflect. Why is so? So by doing the reflections, you will have your own understanding. While in the text says this and that, now I got it. This is what the text is referring, implying, or real meaning, I got it. Some kind of profound understanding one attain from doing the thorough reflections, contemplating. So that understanding you get not from your teacher, not from the book, something by the virtue of your own reflections. You attain that certainty, that profound understanding. And that is very powerful. And again, if one most of the time we just live alone on that. But now, not only leave that alone, but put it into meditation, put it into practice. What does that mean? Now apply to that understanding to your mind. Apply it to your being. So we say, you not only study Dharma, but reflect on the Dharma, and you become the Dharma. You become the Dharma. That's how you apply to your own beings. So Buddhist general master's instruction is study, reflections, and application to one's beings, practice, meditations, all these things. Okay. Otherwise, if you just study, and a little bit reflection and left on that, then nothing will happen. Actual benefit is difficult. Buddha said, it is as if like you study the medicine, how it is made, how it would benefit long term, short term. But if you do not take the medicine, then that knowledge or that having the medicine even with you do not make much point. Number 23, to replicate the arrangement of the home when venturing into solitude is a waste of one's life in a meaningless manner, to give up too many activities. Yes, I, have seen lots of these things. Even these people trying to fix, not necessarily outside that needs to be fixed, but sometimes people put this thing there, that thing there. Next time they bring it back, put a little bit higher, no, a little bit down. So all these things really waste our time. By saying, even in a cave, you may end up doing like those things. You may go to a cave, but you're doing those things. Watch out, basically, mindfulness practice, right? Watch out. A lot of the things we do, are they necessary? Always ask ourselves the questions. A lot of the time, all these collections. I think one way to recognize is that when we move things from one house to the next, we only found out, oh my gosh, how many things we may have. Is this necessary? Is this need? Looks like endless. Likewise, our own talking, speech, we engage. Not very much here, but in the East, social life. Sit together in India, have a cup of tea and talk. Usually when you do like Nyingni practice, silent meditation, Nyingni, we don't talk. We find this out. When you are doing silent, observing silent, and you hear what other people are talking about outside, they may talk for hours and hours. You realize, wow, how many our talk is just, we call pensée in Tibetan, empty talks. But yes, some are necessary to talk. But most of the time, our talk is just talk for the sake of talking. So now, practitioner's point of view is, well, are they necessary to talk? Is this necessary really? Do I need this? Do I need that? Do I need that? So why these practitioners point this out is because if we do not point out our kind of desire to have this and that, and those, and that will never end. Tibetan, we have a saying, Misem Tongba Konju Me, which means the human heart is endlessly empty. They're never going to fill up. Yes, it is true. The more we get, more we wish for. The more richer people become, more greedy become, not content, right? So if one keep on doing that, then when is the time to practice Dharma? There is not such things. Even daily chore. If we do this, we need to do that, we need to do it. Somehow, enough is enough. To be contained. Somehow, whatever that is. Otherwise, that will go on. And has been going on, will be going. And it is very interesting. Sometimes I find myself like that. When somebody called me and said, Tukula, what are you doing? I said, I'm actually doing nothing. But I've been very busy today. I was doing that, talking to this. I had a phone call, and he or she asked me how I'm doing. How was your day? And I talk and talk and talk and talk. The next phone call, the next email. Well, if one do not answer those emails, do not answer those calls, this guy may call one time, 2 times, maybe 3 times. then he makes a decision that something is wrong with me. Either I do not want to talk to him, upset, something very interesting, how we keep our life kind of going. That makes me feel when I'm in Pemaku, I do not have electricity, so that means the rest of the things, phone, the computer, the TV, all gone. At the beginning, it's rather strange. Then, of course, as one kind of enter into that zone, the simplicity of life is sets in. So when you enter in that simplicity of life, it's the most beautiful experience. Okay. Number 24. There might be excellent qualities in striving for learning and purity, but we will need it to be without bias. To be without bias, my heart advice. Well, then, even learning, remain, monks and nuns, purities, and those things. Basically, whatever good things we do, bad things we do, if one attached to in our Conceptual class we talk about, if one practice and if one attached to that beliefs. Yesterday someone was asking me, what are the 4 maras? One mara is like, that attached to, that you take the pride, the joy that you are actually experiencing these wonderful meditations. If one attached to those, that again is the obstacles. Number 25. So here some lamas, yogis have power, like by doing the mantra, have some powers, like summoning hells, thunderbolt, like those things. And those black magic even. And doing those things, of course, produce so many bad things. So lead oneself to the lower realms. If one do those, bad idea. To take a humble place is my heart advice. 26. To amaze a multitude of profound texts, such as scriptures, commentaries, and oral instructions, without practicing them, will be of no benefit at the time of death. To watch your mind is my heart advice. Yes, some practitioners, lots of books collecting, lots of books, lots of articles, And if one do not really practice collecting, not collecting outer things, but ideas, the teachings, lots of things, lots of studies included, really. If one do not apply, then what is the point? But to watch your mind is my heart advice. Watch your mind. What have one attained spiritual quality? Nobody knows your mind. Only one own speculation one know what is our state of mind. What has been accumulated there, spiritual qualities. If nothing has been attained, and outwardly you have lots of texts, statues, then we're not good. Try on a good track. So watch your own mind. Watch your mind is my heart advice. Number 27. When we accomplish remaining one-pointedly, we gain insight and understanding. But to write spiritual texts, songs of realization about them, even though they are sign of experience, will give rise to conceptualization. To remain a non-conceptual frame of mind is my heart advice. Even those who the practitioners who write down those, what have experienced, dohas. These are sometimes, of course, will be beneficial for the latter practitioners, and then this will simply, the others opposite side will be give rise to your conceptualizations, also conceptualizations. So this is also not necessary. See? Okay, number 28. When conceptual thoughts arise, the direct view is crucial. Here's something different, instructions rather. When conceptual thoughts arise, direct view is crucial. What does that mean? Is that when thought arises, emotions arises, direct view, look at directly to that very emotions, to that thought is very important. Look at directly. Instead of just following, surrendering to that emotion, look at the very nature or essence of that emotion. What is that emotion? How does that emotion look like? What will be the color of it? Somehow directly looking at it, it is important. Having examined the mind to settle, it is crucial. After examining the mind, understanding the mind, then settle in. If one understands, when one examines the mind, mind's essence is empty. Empty. And actually, in the Vajrayana teaching, then we're talking about 5 affective emotions, their nature, finding 5 wisdoms. So when you look at the very emotions, very thoughts, when you find that there is no color, no form, no nothing, simply a rising of thought, like the clouds. And when their nature or essence is empty, settle in that. That is important. Settling in that empty essence of that very thought or very affective emotions that you experience. Settle in that essence. Even as there is nothing to meditate on, nothing to meditate. Ultimately speaking, the true meditation should go beyond the object of meditation. If there is an object to meditate to the more Dzogpa Chenpo level, then not a meditation. Gomja lo tang trawa jinji lo, which means, may I have the profound meditations of no object. Nothing to be meditated. In that objectless meditations, one do is crucial. Remain undistracted is my heart advice. What is actually the meditation? Meditation simply means remain undistracted. Undistracted. No thoughts distracts from your meditation. No objects. Just simply remain in the very essence or nature of our minds, in its own course. Not influenced from any other factors. Remain in the very essence of the mind, empty, luminous. And that undistracted, remain naked in the very nature of mind. So, ultimately speaking, meditation is to remain undistracted. Number 29. This is very important. Dwelling in the state of emptiness, act according to the law of cause and effect. Dwelling in the emptiness, understanding of emptiness, we call Toni Ninji Rinpoche, which means understanding of emptiness give rise to the compassion. Understanding of emptiness then attain as certainty for the law of cause and effect. As long as sentient beings dwell in this dualistic mind, dualistic phenomena, good and bad are real, subject and object are real. Shaking each other's comfort zone is real. So are the cause and effect. What goes around, comes around, will always be there. Understanding of emptiness do not make them disappear. Understanding of emptiness actually ascertain the existence of such law of cause and effect in all beings who have not realized emptiness. Realizing non-action, keep the three vows. Ultimately speaking, nothing to do, nothing to be adopted, nothing to be abandoned. That is ultimate view. At the same time, the Pratimoksha vow, Bodhisattva vows, Mantrayana vows, one observe each and every one of them. Without focus, exert yourself in benefiting beings through compassion to engage in the two accumulations indivisibly is my heart advice. Without focus, actually concept-free kind of compassion, concept-free compassion, then we benefit beings. Engaging true accumulation of wisdom and merit indivisibly. These are goes hand in hand. Wisdom aspect, understanding the morning when you make the offerings. What you are doing is actually washing the glass or the Tibetan looking these traditional things. What you're pouring in that bowl, in those bowls, is simply water. But while doing so, you give such a state of mind and by this merit accumulates merit. Even though, ultimately speaking, everything is empty, on the absolute level, on a relative level, everything, the good and bad is real. Subject and object is real. Accumulating merit, everything. On the relative level, never negate the existence of the relative phenomena. When one understands or read about the ultimate, absolute truth, reality of the phenomena. Number 30, last one. If we have listened to many learned masters and received deep instruction, have studied a few sutras and tantras without ever applying them, how pitiful. We are just fooling ourselves. That's how Longchenpa's advice ends. What is the really point if one do not apply these teachings? Whatever one studied, as I said last time, in the first thing, what they say? Abstain from act of killing. Buddhist viewpoint, not killing things, but harming others' life. Understanding that, then now you have to apply. If one do not apply, what is the point? Going beyond that, then all this compassion, all this instruction, advices, talking about emptiness, all these things to be applied, to be put into practice. Of course, in order to heal oneself, Buddha said to regard yourself as a sick person which needs to be healed. Dharma as the medicine, applying to you, to your being, as the way in which you heal, get healed, taking the medicine. Applying the teachings to your being is only when one get healed. So, last advice, apply the teachings. Apply. So, that's it. Okay. The next one, okay, let us first have a few questions, if you have one. Okay.
Okay, yes, please, if you have a question, you can either unmute yourself or put your question in the chat, or either way. Okay, Bob and Mariana have a question. If you'd like to unmute, go ahead. If they know how to do that.
Hello.
Hi, Bob, Maria.
Hi,
Mariana.
Mariana. Nice to see you again.
You are in, you are up there, right?
Mount Shasta.
We're in Mount Shasta.
Yeah.
I have a question in regards to the single ground. So in the Great Perfection Aspiration of Kuntam Zampo, it says everything, appearance and existence, samsara and nirvana, has a single ground, yet two paths and two fruitions. And I wanted to know if you could speak on that.
Okay. This is Dzogchen teachings, or one ground, two paths. One ground here referring to the ultimate state of reality. Nature of all things. So in the Mahayoga teachings, focus is on ground, path, and fruition teachings. Most actually, Vajrayana teachings are presented that way: ground, path, and fruition. What is ground? Ground, to the very basic teaching, Buddha nature. Buddha nature. Every sentient beings have Buddha nature. That Buddha nature is basically inherently pure. So Vajrayana teachings, I usually say, is a very good news to everybody. Why it's good news? Because Vajrayana teaching says that every living beings, our true nature is pure, has been pure primordially, and will be pure no matter how sentient beings can go wrong. And our true nature remains the same. That's a pure ground. Buddha mind within. I'm sure you heard Buddha mind within, the Buddha nature. The primordial purity is the one ground. Okay. Then two paths. Path that which took by sentient beings, not understanding that primordial purity, then sense of grasping mind arise. From that grasping mind, then all these phenomena, mental events, and from that karmas, infinite karmas. From that infinite karmas, infinite result. The infinite results, infinite sentient beings. One path, that path. And the other path is the recognition of that ground. Not mistaken, but realizing the timeless wisdom, inherent Buddha mind, primordially dwelling within is realized. And when that realization happens, and then the ego grasping mind is cut to the root. And then the path of liberations. And from that path, then ultimately awakening in that perfect ground. So, mistaken path and the right path, two paths. Right path, in a sense, recognitions of or understanding, realizations of the nature as it is. Wrong path is not knowing the true nature, and mistaken. In the very basic teachings, we give example, like as if, let's say you walk in the dark or a little bit, not much light, walk in that room, and then you saw a kind of a stick, let's say, on the floor, and not seeing well, so you, for some reason, you think this is a snake. Whereas actually this is just a stick laying on the floor. So that understanding mistaken concept of that stick as a snake is the wrong path. And then of course, understanding the stick is a stick, it's the right path. Like that, understanding realization of Buddha nature, that path, and not understanding of the Buddha nature, the wrong path, the two paths. So one ground and two paths. Yeah.
Thank you.
We have a question from William. What does non-referential compassion mean?
Non-referential compassion that with the realization of emptiness. Compassion, ordinary compassion, is not with the realization of emptiness. So these compassions sometimes, some people say that I have too much compassion, that's why it's so painful, something like that. So understanding of emptiness, and from that, compassions arising. So in that's why we say that understanding of emptiness give rise to compassion. Or sometimes compassion, ordinary compassion, can be ordinary compassion, from that give rise to understanding of emptiness. So, compassion, that is based on understanding of emptiness. Okay.
Are there any other questions? I don't see any in the chat, so maybe we're done with questions. Oh, yes, we do have a question from Ani Yeshe, Stephanie Cook. Please go ahead, Ani.
Good afternoon, Rinpoche. So my question is on number 8, talking about even though caretakers, attendants, and people in charge and cooks constitute the lifeblood of a monastery, entertaining dualistic perception is a cause for strife. To give up chores is my hard advice. So my question was he at all pointing to that if one had realization, as you were saying, of emptiness, then the chores could be done with a non-dualistic perception, or is that skating around the point a little bit too much? Or is the whole point that you have chores because you have concepts to begin with? I mean, it's saying that it's a cause for, the dualistic aspect is a cause for strife. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, Anila. I think here, actually, in the monasteries, we have lots of issues too, right? Our senior Khenpos used to instruct us, don't be discouraged, because the business around the monastery or issues that we face in the monasteries are good samsara. Good samsara, not bad samsara. We're doing good, but this samsara is still issues face. So even the caretakers, cook, and all these things, to give up here, the chores, of course, doesn't mean that, for these caretakers to give up everything. Of course, you have to live a life. Monasteries need those things. Need everything. You need to cook, you need to eat, you need to clean. All the things that distract us from Dharma, we all need those things. But at the same time, there are, again, some folks who thinks this is it. This is all I'm doing. This is my Dharma. And then you kind of all think that this is the, this is the essence. This is all I need to do. So if that's the case, then, entertaining the dualistic perception is cause of strife. There's still, these things, doing those things too much, and continuing on, not doing the practice. And that is just, again, at the end of the day, yes, these are necessary to be done to a certain level, and then, but, to just end up there, that again, we're missing something very profound. So you have to give up the chores, take a moderate path. Okay. Thank you, Anila, for asking the question.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the teaching.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any more questions unless somebody's, I think we're done with questions, Rinpoche.
Thank you. Okay, now let us do the second aspect, second part. Second part, we're going to do this aspiration prayer, so-called the spontaneous Vajra manifestation of awareness and emptiness. Right? I hope you have the text. I keep this also in the Atichang Chuling daily practice book. Those who have Atichang Chuling daily book is there. Okay, some of you have this book and on page 157. Found? Okay. Now, this teaching is from Mepang Rinpoche, the great master. Scholar, accomplished master. Mepang Rinpoche, like Longchenpa. In the old translation school, we say Longchenpa, Mepang Rinpoche, and Rongsong Chuji Zampo. These three are the great Panditas in the old translation schools. Like Longchenpa, Mepang Rinpoche wrote so many texts. In Mepam Kambum, around 30 volumes. Volumes of his writings. In our studies, we base our study beside the Indian Panditas' writings, study about Madhyamaka, Abhidharma, lots of based on Mepang Rinpoche's texts. And not only the Sutrik level, but also Tantric teachings like Mepang Rinpoche's commentary on Goyagava Tantra, Jidyo Yosal Nimbo, clear heart essence of the Goyagava Tantra we study. So anyway, Mepang Rinpoche is not just a master, but realized incredible master, Buddha-like masters. Again, for me, Mepang Rinpoche is a Buddha. So now, these teachings I received from Khenpo Jime Phuntsok. In early 90s, when I was at the monastery, our guru, His Holiness Benno Rinpoche, invited Khenpo Jime Phuntsok from Tibet. And actually, he was quite a long time there at the monastery. He gave all the teachings, particularly, Mepang Rinpoche's, not only, of course, he gave lots of Dzogchen teachings, but also Sutik teachings, Madhyamaka, like Ngeshi Döme, Bacon of certainty, and all these teachings. Basically, Rinpoche's commentaries on Madhyamaka philosophies. He spent a lot of time on these, and making sure that all the monks understand Rinpoche's teaching well. And we had lots of conferences in which we discuss whatever the points, the points that sometimes we have debate, we are very uncertain. We had lots of question and answer kind of period with him. Amazing scholar. And as well as really realized beings. He gave lots of Dzogchen teachings. Among them, this was one of them. He's, I think, at least 3-4 days he only taught this, making sure that all the monks understood. So I always pray, in my root gurus, Orgyen Phuntsok is one of them. Actually, I have his pictures there, put him up there so that anyway, I received from him. And then, long story short, I'll just give you his transmissions. Okay. Just sit and listen with your open heart and devotion to this lineage, to these blessings. Okay. Omi Chuji Inje Porone, the Son Sanjay Kunju Ngoni, Ransin Shuku Gonson Denzibe, Zaelame Shala Sowande. Jamba Zoba Chamber, Jalam Debu, Maybe the Lama, Dojirana Shi Jawane. Chuju Deji, Kunjuni Mesu Jawa, Jamba Jano, Jamba Jion, Tamidan, Yuji, the Paden Lamala, and Shuku Tayo Miguchi, Combination, Labori Bazaji, wanting to show. And in a Jeso, Jobatan, Ombojiba Sola Medija, Lavi, Manchibis and Jason, Lamema, Toji Tonjuji, Tushin Chip, Kondo Toma, the Sashin Jobaran, Laviju, Mishingo. Sashin Joba running go running Haviju, Mission Combination is Zoom Joba on the Joba show, some Tonga Commission, how much you are Kayami, as a Joba submit, Sumber Cavity, Toba show. To get Canada, Jayada Bar and Alujeta Meta, in Sujin to Benju, image of no show, Nawaji do Tanto, Kitchen Jam, Junior Number, in the Rangila, Tonga show, de la Savacha, Matonshi, Jadi Joba, maybe. Luzoya Malachina, never the lunch was you, and the Vajivan, to Tawaya, Ishila, Corinda, and to better than Mother Courage, the Alaba, Davanoa, the Vanava, to Mishila, she used a lot, no moment, to be the Tamashu, and the one the middle of the future. I do, so yes, and Magombicha, and under the to be zip to Masu repeat down, or Johnson like Judicial Calan de Vamedo, Rajana Meton, Fuji Tesseran, some jumping and Shiran, Why did Churchy. Much evasion, like you may like this, to maybe Julian Majuta, the Baton, she came about to be much the Tower, only Manasa, Bombashu. Something sending all need you to contact me, but they need to send him much. You should give us something to show. Riton ripi su chu tam nya ba ni jo ti le nya je la kon de do shi ben ga zu zo mi ne shu bo ten se sen bo shu de lu dan yu dong wa ya lu shen so be on de me do shi chen bo kan da chu se tu mi su chang ju chi de se ka dan ne bi shi ku chu de mon da se lo ken shi pen de den gen jo ye yin no zhi zhen zhi bu ta tu to ba shu. So in this short time, what I'm going to do is just a brief introduction, and then we go through the text. This aspiration prayer contains the whole teachings of Dzogpa Chenpo, the great perfections. The Dzogpa Chenpo teachings include in two kinds of sections we divide. Kada texture, cutting through primordial, cutting through teachings, purity. Kada texture, cutting through these teachings, basically introducing to the nature of mind. Much emphasis is paid on empty essence of the mind, emphasize. And then Hindu toggle practice and teachings, much emphasis is paid on the radiance of the mind, luminosity aspect of the mind. So translated as direct crossover, something like that. Basically, beyond conceptions, directly seeing the radiance of the mind, the dynamic display of the nature of mind. So, are the two practices and two teachings. Even though Tekchu itself, of course, a complete path which contains the teachings, the essence, and the radiance of the mind, luminosity aspect of the mind, is contained within Tekchu or completed. Even though emphasis is different. In Toggle, much emphasis paid on the radiance of the mind, luminosity of the mind, like that. Now, according to Khenpo Jime Phuntsok, when he gave these teachings, he said this teaching contained both of these, Kada Tekchu's teaching and Toggle's teachings. So he divided into two sections. So I'll just, since what I can do today is just, just show you the sections. That's it. Okay. And I request Willa to kindly read in English so that what I just said, may be clear for you. And even though I don't explain reading through in English, it will give you a profound, at least concept. So I would request Willa to read. Now, when Willa read, not necessarily to read together, just listen or just look, okay. And then now, the first section, first four lines are the paying homage to the Manjushri. Here Manjushri is no other than one's true nature. So that's paying homage. Okay, Vila. Can you read the first 4 lines?
You assume the non-dual form of being the wisdom body of the Sugatas and their sons throughout the 10 directions and 4 times. Ever youthful Manjushri, within your state of equality, may we be spontaneously perfected in the nature of non-action.
Okay. Next 4 lines. First is aspirations of receiving the Lama's blessings. In fact, in order to awakening in the primordial nature, that which is beyond mind, receiving Lama's blessings is most important. Guru's blessings. So aspiration for that. Second is with that blessings, Lama's blessings, one be realized the true nature. So next 4 lines, please.
By devotion to the primordial Lord, the glorious Master, regarding him as the Dharmakaya of equality, may we obtain the great empowerment of awareness display through the blessing of the realization of the ultimate lineage being transmitted to our hearts. Present since the beginning, it is not dependent upon being cultivated, nor upon such things as differences in one's capacity. May this vital point of mind, not trusted by being too easy, be recognized through the power of the Master's oral instructions.
Okay. Next 4 lines is basically identifying the obstacles to the path of Dzogpa Chenpo. Here are the obstacles. Please.
To elaborate or to examine is nothing but adding concepts. To make effort or to cultivate is only to exhaust oneself. To focus or to meditate is but a trap of further entanglement. May these painful fabrications be cut from within.
Okay. Now, next is now according to Khenpo Jime Phuntsok. This is the Kada texture. It's a teaching contained here. So Kada texture's teachings begins with view, meditations, and actions. Here, first 4 line is introducing Kada texture's view.
Being beyond thought or description, not a thing is seen. There is, however, nothing extra remaining to be seen. That is the profound meaning of resolving one's mind. May this nature, hard to illustrate, be realized.
Okay, continuing on that Kada texture's view, that view is the view of great Madhyamaka, great Uma Chenpo, we call. Going beyond existence, non-existence. Likewise, this is the view of Chagja Chenpo, the non-dual view of the great Mahamudra. Next, 4 lines.
Since constructs are primordially pure, the extreme of existence has been discarded. As the manifestation of awareness is spontaneously present, it is free from the extreme of non-existence. Although described as 2 aspects, these are but the labor of conceptual mind. May we perceive this inseparable nature of equality beyond description. Although it is initially grasped through intellectual statements, just like a finger pointing at the moon, the natural state of dharmata lies beyond the reach of assumptions. May we take this to heart and perceive it ourselves.
Okay. From here on, Dzogpa Chenpo got a texture, cutting throughs, meditation. Meditation, what does meditation in ultimate Dzogpa Chenpo means? Next 2 4 lines.
In this, there is nothing seen to be discarded, nor is there anything to be kept or established. May this state of dharmata, unspoiled by acceptance and rejection, be perceived as the spontaneously present nature. Although ascribed the attributes of the ground to be known, the path to be journeyed, and the fruition to be attained, these are but like levels in space in the actual nature. May we spontaneously abide in the nature of non-action.
Next 2 lines, next 2 4 lines, basically describing that characteristic of that practice, that meditations of Dzogpa Chenpo. Please.
Samsaric impure phenomena perceived through confusion, as well as their opposite, pure perception, are but constructed attributes named dependently. May we perceive their non-existence in the unfabricated essence. In its way of being, the non-conceptual essence of dharmata is only obscured by concepts or spoiled by having a view and meditation. Looking into the ordinary essence while being free from a view and meditation, may we spontaneously rest in the genuine nature.
Okay. Next 1 4 stanzas is the kind of in a brief, in a summary, identifying what are the view, meditation, and action of Dzogpa Chenpo. Yes.
Whatever one is focused on is poison for the view. Whatever is embraced by effort is a fault of meditation. Whatever is adopted or abandoned is a defect of action. May we perceive the nature free from all shortcomings.
From here on, according to Khenpo Jime Phuntsok, is a teaching of Toggle, directly, seeing the sub-radiance of the natural mind. So Toggle instructions first. First 1 4 line.
Not trapped in the mire of mental constructs, the manifestation of awareness is directly seen free from concepts. Without tying knots in the air with the rope of speculation, may we be skilled in spontaneously resting in the genuine nature.
Next 1 4 lines is the aspiration that lamp of sub-existing knowledge illuminate. In Toggle practice, we talk about 4 lamps or 6 lamps. This is one of the lamp aspiration that this lamp illuminates.
At that very moment, may the light from the lamp of self-existing knowledge, the wisdom aspect of the self-cognizant youthful vase body, Manjushri of natural cognizance, overcome the dense darkness of the obscurations.
Next 1 4 lines is the introducing to the view of Dzogchen Toggle.
Since the unfabricated and uncompounded dharmata has nothing new to be obtained through the path of fabrications, may the nature of the ultimate fruition, which does not result from a cause, be perceived as being primordially present within oneself.
Next 4 lines is in the middle. What is the meditation in Dzogchen Tögal?
Being covered up by words of speculation is the path of confusion. Whatever is expressed is but a web of concepts. May the profound instruction to be individually cognized, which does not result from statements, be practiced within our hearts.
Next 4 lines is the fruitions of the Dzogchen Tögal practice.
The mind that holds subject and object is by nature mistaken. Whatever one imagines, it is never exactly like that. May the self-existing wisdom body, which does not result from dualistic mind, the Buddhahood of true meaning, be accomplished.
That completes. Next 4 lines is the result of practice of Tekchu and Tögal Dzogchen Chenpo practice. Now first is the quality of realizations.
Within the cognizant space of awareness and emptiness, all phenomena are in a state of equality. In this single sphere, the hopes and fears of samsara and nirvana have collapsed. May we, in this nature, attain the kingdom of the non-dwelling Dharmakaya.
Next 4 lines is the quality of purifications, what has been abandoned, free of quality of freedom.
Whatever is perceived as one's body or as a sense object appears like a visual aberration produced by conceptual thought. By the natural radiance of the great non-conceptual wakefulness, may it be purified in the primordial space of exhausted dharmas.
The last 4 lines is the qualities of enlightened activities of that Dzogchen Chenpo practitioners for the benefit of all motherly sentient beings, awakening of all sentient beings.
The wisdom body equal to the sky is a wish-fulfilling jewel yielding welfare and happiness. May we obtain this unobscured and ultimate fruition for all beings in all times and direction until the end of existence.
Let us just remain silent for a few seconds. Okay. Now there's a blessings. We just read in Tibetan. Okay? go back. I'll just say in Tibetan, rather slowly. If you can follow, just follow. If you cannot, just, just remain silent. So this teaching contains ultimate teaching of Dzogpa Chenpo. Keep your aspiration that one actualize the meaning of these teachings in our being. Yeah? Chochu tuji deshe seje je yeshe kunjur nime tsuchangwa nyama yeno nyamba nije nga jame tenla lenje rupar chi teme ngombo paden lama la nyamye chuku tawe megu Gombe Jenlo Nila Kurika Zaji Wangchen Topar Shu Yene Neche Zowe Drupa Tang Wangbo Chebar Sola Medu Chang Lawe Yima Chebe Semji Sang Lame Menga Topji Tongju Ji Trishin Jeba Kunto Namate Zashin Drupa Rani Ngavi Gombe Chinji Chinvi Zongo Drupa Nani Drupa Shu Samje Tala Tonga Kame Jang Madon Lama Chua Kanya Koda Chupa Samete Tsemba Kavi Tenye Tobar Shu Teke Kane Tachi Yeta Pang Rindan Lunji Chube Meta Nisu Chujang Dobe Yuzu Zang Yeme Yuber Nyambe Tentong Shu Nenanzume dawa jishindu tambo ichu tsiki chunji chunji rangba ichu yulende rangi rangla lende tongwa shu Nela sawa jawa matong shin yade juba jawa mimi Zobe male chuni na junji nebe tala yubar shu. Shinji jitan drupa jebe lan toji jibu chusu taba Ranshin shila nanki korin da chame tala junji nebar shu. Trebe joda mada kowe chu de la lobar tabi nawa Tene taba namba trebe chu Tume shila mene tongju jik Loja chuni shiji jutsu la Tatang gombe lejin tobe Shizu senla tagonta nami tala muji nejuji Kanla miba jeba tawe tu Kanshi zowe senba gombe Kanla Lando Java Jube Chang Kunda Chuni Tong Shu Jube Zedo Matsuri Be Dan Loja Bensum Tong La Yi Ju Shame Kala De Ba Mendo Wa Ya Name Tang La Ki Ju Ji Rangri Juno Pomba Ku Chencha Rang Sawan Jambi Shira Rangyo Deme Nawa Ye Dube Memba Tipo Njongjuruchi Manchu De Ma Jebe Chunye La Jume Lamji Sadu Jume Manchu Tatu Debe Anga Yene Nebar Tonga Shu Eju Sige Bemba Trube La Jedara Jujan Tobe Tawa Manju Rangiri Jaye Mena Samo Nila Bomba Shu Sonze Semne Ngo Niji Chu Kanda Miba Tejin Nidu Manju Ranju Yeshi Ku Ipa Tunji Sanje Drupa Shu Ritong Ribi Insu Chutanje Nyamba Ninju Tile Nyaji Redo Shibi Nganzu Tu Mene Chuku Tensi Simba Shu Nidara Ludan Yudu Nawa Yang Rabi Jindu Tobe Wangi Medo Iji Jembe Randang Ji Chuse Dumi Insu Changyu Chik Tenze Kadan Nyambi Yishi Ku Chodu Munda Sidu Nroben Ji Pende Tengen Yobi Yijino Didran Jebe Tatu Toba Shu. Okay, whatever I thought to say has been said. Nothing is left now.